Yo, now it's the RedBlue Podcast crew. Reviewing flicks, both old and new. Red and blue, not political. Nah, man, chill. It was Marvel versus DC till we lost that thrill. Don't stress the episode, don't ask the season. We double up franchises, don't ask for a reason. Moti's got rules that nobody gets. His takes on movies, they're wild as it gets. He's got Super Bowl Mac and Gray by his side, trying to keep it sane while they're in for the ride. Moti's measures are out of control, but in the end he's got the final role. Yeah, RedBlue Podcast, come check the scene. Movies old and new, know what I mean?
And we are back in live. How are you, Tomanger?
Hey, I'm doing okay today. I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good wake up.
Thank you for being there, man. We will power through a cold on my side. And how are you, Super Bald?
I'm doing all right. Also recovering from a cold.
That's just the season, I guess.
Yeah.
Today we got Far From Home and Black Widow. That's funny because Far From Home was the last Marvel I had seen in theater before 2023. Yeah, that's where I'm coming from there. And I guess that's the perfect moment for the second intro before we get starting talking about these two movies. So here we are. I will start by asking to Chillmonger, what did you think of Far From Home?
The movie
Yeah.
was a come down from what we got in Endgame, and I made apologies for it because of that. There's no way you're going to repeat the success, the grand scale. They got me with the twist, though. They did get me with the Mysterio twist.
Okay. And what about you, Super Bowl? What did you think of Far From Home?
I had not seen any of the previous movies, so this was the first one for me. So I'm just going to evaluate it on its own, not compared to any of the other Marvel films or any other Spider-Man movies. Because the only other Spider-Man movies I saw were the Tobey Maguire ones years ago. I thought it was good.
Interesting. That must feel very weird because let's be honest there, and maybe I'm wrong, so correct me if I am, Chillmonger, but I think to really grasp Peter's struggle, you need to see Homecoming prior and the bond he had with Tony Stark. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, Chillmonger, but I feel like Tony Stark in that MCU is like the Uncle Ben of this Peter. Am I right?
He's the anchor being of the universe. He's the Uncle Ben for Peter. He's 100% that. And that's the thing, though. Like, they needed to make it differently. Then they made it with the the Andrew Garfield and the Toby. So, of course, you're right when you say it that way. He's the mentor. He's the one that reminds you by contrasting the age of Tony Stark and Peter. He's the one that reminds you Peter is a kid. And that's why we got 3 movies. And he was a kid for all 3 of these movies. Like, he was still talking about school up until the last scene of No Way Home. And then he makes his own suit and he's done. He's like, all right, guys are going off to school. I'm sticking here. Remember in No Way Home where he saw Zendaya with the little mark here and he reminded himself, oh, I can't tell her that I'm Spider-Man because it'll get her injured more. Like, he was still a kid, and that's what Tony Stark did to him. He made him a kid, not just in these movies. He sunned him in Civil War, Infinity War. That relationship between the two of them was very minor, treated him like a boy. And in Endgame, in the fight scene, he finally returns. He comes through the portal. Hey, is this a hug? This feels nice. He was such a kid because of Tony Stark. It's not until Tony dies that we can finally move on.
And it always has some kind of very sad feeling to it because you're like, he just lost his uncle again. But this time we had part of a movie universe that was dedicated to that uncle. So it's harder, you know. It's something, and I really enjoyed that aspect a lot. Now I will ask you, Chillmonger, did you had any issues with Far From Home?
Yeah, of course I had issues with Far From Home. The scroll, Nick Fury was a scroll the whole time, and it didn't really go anywhere because we've been 6 years since then. That moment, and it's nothing. It was such a nothing moment. Secret Invasion was nothing. Scrolls are nothing.
And it's funny because recently I started reading comics, and I bought lots of Fantastic Four ones, and I was like, oh, this is where they are coming from, these scrolls, because I read the early one in the '60s. That was surprising. Um, so yeah, Super Bold. Did you had any issues with Far From Home?
Mm, comparing it compared to the other MCU movies, which I have not seen, not no, because I have no frame of reference. Cinematically, few things. This is kind of a trope in a lot of movies. They show up to a hotel that turns out to be a lot crappier than what they were expecting, but that's a trope as old as movies. Um, Other than that, though, not I didn't really have a whole lot of qualms with it. That's the only one that comes to mind. Is probably other things that'll come back to me. Um, Due to time constraints, I had to sort of watch it on not on fast forward, but I had to basically not take any breaks, and I didn't take that many notes.
Okay, well, that happens sometimes, and I will ask you, Tomonger, did you see it in theaters? Did you see the movie in theaters when it came out, or did you wait later and all?
Theaters.
How was your theater experience with that one?
Nobody was loud. Nobody was like cheering too much and craziness, and there was no crazy moments to cheer. Really,
Yeah,
I got
that's
popcorn like I did, like I always do, and I ate popcorn, watched the movie. I watched it alone. It was cool.
that was a bit unfortunate that this movie didn't add the impact Endgame had,
Yeah.
and I will say, as much as I enjoyed and liked that movie a lot, I think it had issues, and I will start with that now because I'm the only one that didn't really spoke about the movie yet. Um, my first issue, I admit they overplayed the interruption joke when Peter and Ferry talked, because there's always something coming up to disrupt the flow of their discussion to be funny, you know. And the first time it was funny, but you do it like three, four times. It feels like a James Gunn moment. And yeah, that was bad for me. The next issue I had would be, if everyone got fired by Stark on Mysterio team, how would they know this much about Edit? Feels convenient. As much as they'd be smart to build stuff, there's no way someone could break down and understand that well the equipment. Maybe I'm crazy. Any thoughts on that? Am I crazy to like nitpick that much?
Nah, Tony Stark if we love him so much and we respect him so much as this tech genius, then we have to also have to accept that no one can just do what he does and have what he has, have access to what he has, the same level he has. And he's too smart to make it so that you can make Edith just be programmed to someone else. And just like that, it's that easy. It belongs in the wrong hands now.
Yeah, it's and they understand that tech. Like if they were like close friends, or if they didn't get fired because that was part of their struggle, maybe I would be like, okay, I understand they worked on that tech, but they got fired, yet they still understand the product. It's like, okay, okay, you want me to suspend disbelief so much. I can sometimes, like, I mean, the guy shoots webs and uh, climb walls. But yeah, number three, plot convenience. How MJ opened the hologram by accident. If that be this easy, why the machine didn't go off earlier when falling and rolling on the ground? That was like I think in the middle of the movie, something like that. But that was the projector, and how they figured that that was a kind of scam. What was going on with the elementals? I thought that was like very convenient. Um, why at that moment and not before? Number four, plot convenience felt contrived. How the class could simply have bunch of changes to their plan, including flying to another entire country. Maybe I nitpick too much again, but I feel like the villain had it way too easy to have like every pawn line up for their chess game. I don't know about that. Any thoughts? Chillmonger, Super Ball, am I crazy?
I'd say it could be a valid criticism, but that kind of thing is just, to me, is just so common in movies where, you know, things just happen out of convenience. You don't question it.
Yeah. Number five. If Mysterio knows so much about Edit, why wouldn't he use a missile strike to blow up the bus with the kids? Because plot armor and we don't want to delete the entire cast. Um, yeah, it's I nitpick too much again. I think maybe just maybe. Um,
Well, I've
not,
said for years that if every movie was logical and everything was, made sense, movies would last about 10 minutes.
not always. Sometimes they do make sense.
Yeah.
Um, My final issue. Plot convenience. How Peter took off the mask so Beck could register Peter face to the spider costume. And we also dive deep into like the entire mask off thing. I know it's a thing with the MCU, like even before that movie, but
What do you mean the
did you,
mask off thing?
they always remove their mask because they want to show they can emote.
Yeah,
But
that's the you
Yeah.
answered it right there. That's why they do it. It's
Yeah,
because this is
it's
acting.
but you could emote through the mask. Like Deadpool, it doesn't take off all the time his mask, but you can still see. So that's more like what I'm thinking. You
well, yeah,
can
that's
be
the reason.
creative,
It's so that the actors can, emote. We can see their faces.
yeah. But
It's the
Deadpool
same
emote
reason
with the
in
mask.
what. It's the same reason in war movies, soldiers take off their helmets, even though in real life they would not do that because it exposes them.
That take me off way too
Yeah.
much.
Ryan
Um,
Reynolds doesn't do it though. You're right. I noticed that. And maybe it's because he has such a stake in Deadpool and he's smart because if his face is being shown, he's got to put all that makeup on, the aesthetics because he's dying of cancer. Wade Wilson is dying, so he can. And it helps though because now he's not typecasted. We can actually see Ryan's face on different characters in different movies because of this.
and it again, if Deadpool can do it, why the others don't bother even trying to be like that? I'm not expecting everyone to be like Deadpool, but what I'm saying it's possible to emote without the mask. Or with the mask, I should say. I think they just take the lazy way, like, oh, we need to have that moment there. So yeah. Overall, again, I still enjoyed that movie despite the issues. I was very entertained. I really liked the action pieces. They were very fun. Most of the time, the humor did work for me, and it's unfortunate it wasn't furry, but they were still kind of good at making you believe it might be furry until the very end. Um, the acting and the performance of everyone was solid, and I feel like they spent very well the budget they had. I don't know if that movie was profitable that much, but I think it looked good, and hopefully, they did money out of that one. Do you know any numbers on that one, Chillmonger?
Let me search.
While he's searching, Super Bowl, is there anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, there's a few things I did appreciate about the movie. The humor. One joke that made me laugh is like, I'll be collecting tiny spoons, and she's like, really, like a grandmother? That made me laugh because my grandmother actually does that.
A
she
lot of
has
grandmas
a
do.
she has a huge collection of tiny spoons from all over the world. Um, in when at one point when during the final battle with Mysterio, there's a point where he sees like a bunch of other Spider-Mans, like in a sort of Hall of Mirror type thing. And at one point, he sort of points at one. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it reminded me of that meme we see online of the two Spider-Mans pointing at each other. I don't know if that was intentional or not.
I
Well,
think
if
that was later the meme came out.
Because the meme, because the
Far From
meme is
Home.
actually from the 1960s Spider-Man cartoon. That's where that image came from. But I don't know if the meme predates this movie or came out after. But if not, it's a nice coincidence. I did appreciate the joke where the AC/DC song starts playing. And he's like, "Oh, I love Led Zeppelin." That just reminds me of something that happened to me in real life not that long ago. I was in a store and there was a Soundgarden song playing, and these two teenagers, one of them is like, "Hey, what's that band?" And I was about to pipe up and say that's Soundgarden, and his friend is like, "Oh, that's Metallica." I just didn't say anything. I just shook my head. It made me feel old, like a lot of things do. I did appreciate the. I'm missing a lot of backstory, obviously, because I have not seen the majority of the MCU. I do plan on watching the whole thing. I've made a plan, and I'm actually going to start this weekend from the beginning. Even the ones that I have seen, because I did see Iron Man and a couple of other ones, but a long time ago, and I don't remember anything about them. I'm going to try to do at least one per week until I'm all caught up. So it'll probably take me, I don't know, 20 years to do the whole thing. But yeah, I'm missing a lot of things. But I do know that I did notice that at the end, the post-credit scene where we see J. Jonah Jameson on the screen, I didn't know that he was now this like sort of Alex Jones, human piece of shit type of character. I did find that funny. I did appreciate. I was kind of surprised to hear a Ramones song as well. I'm always happy to hear those in movies. As far as the casting, good casting, Tom Holland. I have not seen him in anything else. I'm like I said, I've mentioned before. I'm way behind on movies, so I haven't seen him in anything else. Same thing with Zendaya. I thought they were good. John Favreau, good as always. I know he's directed some MCU movies. I don't know if he's actually directed this one.
No.
Um,
The guy who directed this one is doing Skeleton Crew, John Watts.
Oh, I didn't
okay.
know that.
Okay.
That's interesting. And are you watching Skeleton Crew since you brought this up?
Yes, and it's good.
Yeah, that's good. So maybe Thursday I got a stream on it. If you're available, that's around the same time as right now. That's a maybe because usually
Don't do it on Thursday. Don't do it next Thursday because there will still be one more episode if you did it on Thursday.
We do it weekly. That's the thing. We've been doing it since it started. Anyway, enough of that very brief tangent. But yeah, I'm surprised the same guy did both. It's two different things. And yeah, do you want to add more, Super Bowl?
No, not really. I did really like the color palette in this movie because one of my I've said it often on these episodes. One of my gripes with modern movies is they're always like either tinted blue or orange. This one had a much more fine, natural color palette, and it looked more film-like. I'm assuming this movie was shot digitally, but I found the color palette and the texture looked more film-like, which is something I always appreciate.
That's cool, man. And I will also add a few things if you don't want to add anything there.
No, I'm good.
Okay. So did you find the numbers, Chillmonger?
What am I comparing? Spider-Man Far From Home?
Far From Home to Homecoming.
1.1 for Spider-Man Far From Home. And Homecoming was 880 million.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it went up a little bit, and it should go up a little bit because of his appearances in Infinity War Endgame that happened in between those movies.
Yeah, that's interesting. At least we got an increase, and next time we talk Spider-Man, that will be a big increase, I think. We won't spoil it yet, but I know No Way Home did very well, and I will be honest, I only have seen parts of No Way Home because that's around the time I kind of tapped out of MCU, and because of what was going on in real world, I wasn't able to see anything in theater for quite some time,
Me
and I
too. I
was
had to watch that one at home in the seat I'm sitting in now.
and I was sad, man. The first movie I did see in theater back was like the Batman, and I liked it so much I went 5 times. But that's a tangent. That's a tangent. Um, to get back on track, um, there's the last few things I really enjoyed is how Mysterio kind of pretended to be like the new replacement for Tony because he was a figure that Peter looked up to, and the fact that Peter got betrayed by that figure was kind of sad and tragic because he lost the father figure he had, and now he's betrayed by the second father figure, the replacement. It's kind of sad, but that's part of the journey, and I think that was very interesting. Um, Peter realizing he's not Iron Man, uh, it was great growth. I think giving away these glasses, that was cool. Um, and yeah, um, I thought the talk Peter and Appy had in the plane at the end was kind of emotional. I felt something, and I don't think I will be alone feeling things after seeing that kind of moment. Um, we are talking about Far From Home, Miss Sparkle, the Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland, the second one. Um, so I think we talked in length. I will ask if guys have anything to add on top of what was said so far.
The secret of his identity being figured out by Michelle, but not being figured out by others, is a problem. It's a bit of a problem, and I call her Michelle for a reason because she's not MJ. Um, the the fun jokes. I remember he was hanging on a wall and he goes, "This suit's a little tight around the web shooters." I thought was a good, like, funniest thing I've ever heard Spider-Man say in a movie. I laughed out loud at that. And he's supposed to be funny. That's what Spider-Man is. Taking him away from the New York setting was different. Homecoming, even they took him away from the city. Remember, he was in the urban. He was in an area where it was just homes that were 2 stories wide and some trees. He couldn't web sling. He was too not cityified. What do you call it? Industrialized. He was too away from the big towers. Like, it was a different take, and I guess they wanted to be
urbanized. I guess would maybe a better word.
Urbanized. I wanted an urbanized Spider-Man, which happened in No Way Home more. But that's probably because they know we've seen him do this in movies before. We got to take him out the city, put him in Europe. Very odd choice to do. They did it though. Now it's fresh. Like, it's 2025 right now, and we're not going to get a Spider-Man until another year probably. So it's going to be a fresh take when we actually see him in the city. And they say that movie's not even going to be in the city. It's going to be on Battle World, where who knows what kind of things he's going to be swinging off of. It's so that was a choice to take him into Europe. It was a choice. He needs Happy Hogan to be not in his movies anymore. Happy Hogan is very much Iron Man associated, and we need to break those chains and show he's his own man. He needs to mentor someone younger than him. It doesn't have to be Miles. But if Kamala Khan gets a little cameo, all you gotta do is pay the actor. What's she doing? She's in Canada just chilling, writing comic books for Marvel. You don't have to pay her much. Put her on the Spider-Man movie. She'll do it for free. But have him be the mentor to somebody else to show how he's a little bit leveled up now, because he's a kid in this movie. So much of him being a kid. Good accent, by the way, by Tom Holland, because I forget he's a Brit. He speaks English like a New Yorker.
Right. That's right. I forgot about that. Like I said, I haven't seen him in anything else, but I knew he was British, and I completely forgot about that. Yeah, he has a great accent. I find like Brits, Irish, Scottish, Australian, all that. They're much better at doing American accents than the other way around.
They consume so much more of us, our entertainment, and our speaking.
They're exposed to it from such a young age that, yeah.
If I watched all the James Bonds, I would figure it out, the formula, and I could do their accent too. Doctor
I can do
Who.
I can do Scottish, but that's about it. I'm not even gonna attempt to
You
do.
can do Scottish, eh?
I can do Scottish.
Aye.
I'm not
I
even gonna
think that
try to.
sounded more like a bad Russian accent than Scottish.
Yeah, but I'm not even gonna try to do British or Australian.
You have to sound like Siri. Then you got to sound like an automated computer. Going up to the third floor. We are
Yeah.
on our way. You may take a seat. You got to sound like you're some sort of
Yeah,
service.
I can sort of do like what the Brits call the RP, with the received pronunciation, which is like what they call BBC English. It's like prim and proper British, like what the royal family speaks. But doing like Cockney or whatever. Well, I can do French Canadian. I am French Canadian, but I learned English from a very young age. But I can sound like a typical French Canadian if I want to.
Um,
Yes.
We got to do the whole review like that. We got to talk about he did not go to France. He did not go to the homeland. He visited Prague. He said some joke like, "Do you Europeans? They love Americans." He said a joke like that. I laughed. That probably hit differently. That was a joke for me. But if you guys are if you're an American watching that, and you're just like at home, and you hear that joke, you probably don't even think it's a joke. You think he really means it. Like, yeah, the
Yeah,
Europeans love Americans.
yeah, because a lot of them are self-aware, but a lot of them are like, "Oh yeah, everybody loves us."
are they really? Are they? Do you
It's
want
in the
to add
top half
more?
of comedy, the top half of all the 33 MCU films when it comes to jokes, because they didn't try too much. It was just good and funny. Physical humor too. There was some. I remember one time the teacher was taking a photo of himself on the water, and I think the camera fell in the water.
Yeah,
Good little humor there.
I actually
Oh,
liked that teacher. I had a teacher who was similar to that.
everyone liked
The bar scene with the older woman.
the twist of Mysterio being the villain. Because I was not a comic book head at that time, I didn't see. I thought they were
I
really going to make Mysterio a hero this time.
I personally didn't see it either, but mind you, again, I haven't seen most of this MCU. I had no frame of reference. I thought that dude was like just already an Avenger. He was like a character from the other movies, but apparently I'm wrong. Well, we later learned that yes, he was a character in the other movies, but he worked for Tony Stark.
Yeah, he was a character in other movies, just like the one dude. Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box of scraps. That little dweeb that was the scientist.
Mhm.
He's back after like 10 years since his first appearance in a movie, and they reused the character. And I'm on, that's the strength of Marvel, that you've been here for so long. Some character like that can just slide under he's right there, he's on screen, but I didn't know who he was because anyway, it was great. That was great. A little like the twist, even the mustache twirling speech about how it was our plan all along. And we set him up, and we got that. Like even that was good.
Yeah, it's something that I didn't notice, but that's true, and it is a trope though that like the villain gives away his whole plan instead of just killing the good guy. It's very common in James Bond movies.
Yeah.
Instead of just killing James Bond and shooting him in the head, they tell him the whole plan, and then they set up some incredibly elaborate way to kill him.
Um, Something very interesting is brought up there. Killmonger, what do you think of that?
I think he's not Doctor Doom. I think they lied. They are gonna have him back to play Iron Man, and you're gonna get a photo of him on set or something. Something would reveal the secret. So instead, they told you he'll be Doom. So now no one's gonna be surprised
Yeah.
when there's a photo of him on set. They're
Quite,
paying
yeah,
him all that money, and he's not gonna be Iron Man anymore. He's Iron Man.
it's quite possibly a red herring. Yeah, exactly, to throw people off.
It's I think it's obvious, and they are smart. If they didn't do it, people would question why is he there? Why? But now he is there. Doctor Doom. I cannot wait to see is it Doomsday, right? The name of the movie they chose for the next Avenger? Doomsday.
Yeah, it was either that or Kang Dynasty. They went with Doomsday.
Because of the tobacco you covered on your channel. So I guess I will ask the panel, what was your grade out of 10, starting with Super Bold?
Again, I'm just comparing it on its own because I have not seen the ones that came before it or the whole MCU. So I'm giving it a 7.5 out of 10.
Interesting. What about you, Chillmonger?
It wasn't that good. It was only a 7 out of 10.
Interesting. Maybe I'm not that far behind or ahead. I don't know.
6.
Behind. That's a 6.5. I'm very
Mm.
close to the both of you. I still like that movie a lot, but the issues are there for me, and I cannot unsee them. Um, so now, except if you guys would like to add more on Far From Home, I guess we will start talking about Black Widow.
Before you do that, never mind, never mind. You know what I was gonna
No,
say? I was gonna
do
say
it,
let's look at Iman Vellani, what she put on Letterbox, because those are all revealed now. But I don't care that much.
do it, do it. I'm
It'll be hard
curious.
to find. I'll find it. I'll find it at the end of the stream. I'll find it.
Okay, perfect. So I have that ready at some point, and now we start the Black Widow discussion. I will start by saying I didn't see that movie prior my watching for this stream right now. So that was my first time watching Black Widow, and I was afraid because that movie had the wrong timing. And spoiler, but I think Super Bowl already knows that. But Black Widow died in Endgame, so why
Well,
making another movie?
I kind of figured that when we got to the post credit scene um, when Florence Pugh's character is visiting the grave, and then Elaine from Seinfeld shows up, and that's it. Yeah, so I figured, okay, again, I'm missing a lot of stuff, so I often make assumptions. Just I'm like, okay, I guess that character is dead now.
And that would have been great if you had seen uh what was the name, Civil War prior. And the reason being is this movie took place right after Civil War, I think, but before Infinity War. So that movie took place like in 2016, 2017 in the MCU timeline. So it's not present day, unlike Far From Home.
Mhm.
And the reason why Civil War matter is Civil War created a divide, a split within the Avengers, and Black Widow was considered a bad girl at that point.
Okay.
Um, and that's part of the context you kind of miss, because she's being chased around early in the movie, if I remember correctly.
Well, yeah, I kind of figured that because of that, she was on the outs with the other Avengers. I kind of made that assumption, but I didn't know that it actually took place earlier in the timeline. Um,
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong on something. Am I right with the timeline, Schumacher?
Yeah, it was after Civil War on the timeline, and right after, like 2 weeks after.
Okay, so that's interesting. I thought that was kind of cool, but again, I think the timing of that movie is terrible. If you place that movie before Endgame, before Infinity War, that would have been great. That would have been a much better follow up to Civil War than any other movies we had after Civil War. Um, Misplacement. It's so unfortunate and sad. Now, this movie overall, I thought the idea of it was cool. Is the execution on par? I don't think so. But I will let Chillmonger start on that one. What did you think of Black Widow?
When I started this movie, it was at a disadvantage. It was a past story about a character who was already died, and I was thinking, they're not doing the story for nothing. There has to be an important plot that takes place here, which gets furthered in the future. Like there's something necessary needs to happen. Like we didn't know about. It adds context to another movie. That the only thing this gave us was Yelena Belova. That's my overall thoughts on this movie is that this didn't need to happen. It was, well, we're not doing enough women movies. Black Widow, that's our biggest woman star, and it is. And they did it what they did. We know the box office here tanked because they did the release on streaming and the release in the movie theaters. There's a lot of reasons why this didn't go right. We know Scarlett Johansson had to sue, and she was successful. They actually settled it and got her all the money they wanted, even though they ratted out. You know, she's making 40 million. Can you believe her? This woman, she wants to make money. So the feeling going into the movie was all negative. It was the first movie back since Spider-Man No Way Home, Far From Home, a 2 year gap between the two movies. So when I'm coming for MCU and I get people who are not really super heroes, they're just heroes, like they've got human powers, a couple spy gadgets. It wasn't the movie. The budget here was unnecessarily large. It, it was my worst movie at the MCU when I saw this movie. The worst.
I get that feeling, and I'm with you on that. And that's unfortunate because I think Black Widow has potential. She is very interesting, and we kind of talked a bit backstage about that. But I started collecting comic. It's been like 2 months now. I start with Superman and Fantastic Four right now because I will start a new show on my channel this summer with Superman Legacy, and I educate myself on the source of material, and I'm excited about reading about Black Widow in the future. That I think that will be fun, and based on what I heard, she is a villain in the comic, so I feel like they wasted her with the MCU. She feels wasted. Am I right, Chillmonger?
She wasted big time.
It's unfortunate. But I'm excited to see Yelena because maybe she will tap onto that untapped potential Black Widow didn't add. It's just unfortunate that it's too late for Black Widow.
She's a secondary character. Natasha is the main, and Scarlet is back. She's going to be recasted in, or she's going to be casted in Avengers. It's going to be such a comparison, a stark comparison of this secondary, this up and comer will never fill the shoes. I won't support it. I won't get behind it. I'll always be careful to support these kind of like, the Thunderbolts. Everyone's a knockoff of the original hero.
Facts. But speaking of the Thunderbolts, I've seen the new trailer they released because I went in the theater last week or so, and I'm even more hyped. I'm excited about the Thunderbolts. Are you?
No,
No. Oh, that's unfortunate. Why? I'm curious.
because Black Widow didn't give me anything about Yelena that I wanted to care about. She grew up in a home where her family, remember her big emotional scene at the table. It was all real to me. It was real to me. Yeah, okay. Great. Not your movie. It's Scarlett Johansson's movie. It's Black Widow's movie, and didn't really do it for me. Her and Hawkeye didn't really do it for me. She didn't work for me. She didn't work for me at all.
Okay.
She's
Well,
decent at best. I don't want to shit on her. She's decent at best.
that's interesting. Will you see Thunderbolts in theater, Chillmonger? No.
Yeah, it's an easy no.
What about Captain Wilson?
Depends. Undecided. But it gets a
Undecided.
knockoff character. I just got to see what the movie's message is. If the message of the movie is call me Falcon because that's my identity, I'm not going to just become Captain America. If the message is uplifting and elevating the Falcon status, I'll watch it.
Oh, that's cool. And I think you make it more interesting than what they will do. And that's sad. That's unfortunate. Um, Super Bowl. We didn't hear about you. What did you think of Black Widow?
Meh, to be honest. Again, I'm evaluating it mostly on its own because I don't have a whole backstory. Um, I thought the plot to me was just sort of generic and very derivative. A lot of things. Um, let's start from the beginning. I hated the cover of "Smells Like Teen Spirit" in the opening credits. I did find it funny that I think it was Florence Pugh's character. She was watching Moonraker at one point. I just found that funny because we reviewed it not that long ago. Um, I find it's a good cast. Scarlett Johansson, Florence Pugh, Ray Winstone, who's a fabulous actor, and he was good in this movie. But I mean, again, I'm just basing it on this one. Don't know if he was in any of the other movies, but his character was kind of a generic bad guy, kind of thing we'd seen like in a James Bond movie or some action movie from the '90s, something like that. Rachel Weisz, good actress. Find she didn't do a whole lot in this movie. Um, David Arbor, good as always. A couple of things. They're like this is, mind you, this is a trope that's like as old as movies. Is like all the bad guys stand around and take turns fighting Black Widow instead of just all fighting them at once. But this is a trope that is old as movies. It's a thing you see in action movies, kung fu movies, sci-fi. It's nothing new there. But it does irk me. Another thing you see a lot of movies, jumping after someone that's already fallen and catching up to them. But again, in a superhero movie, I'm not going to complain that they break the laws of physics. So it's kind of dumb to do that. Again, this movie, good color palette. Very natural looking. That's another thing I appreciate. Not all tinted blue or orange. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say about it. I thought it was kind of very meh.
Did you laugh at any of the jokes? Who was the funniest character? Red Guardian?
Yeah, he was funny. About the only one in the movie that I actually did find funny, to be honest. I think the best person in the movie though was Florence Pugh, and her character, even though it's the Black Widow movie, her character's almost sort of upstaged Black Widow in a way. Like especially that thing you were talking about earlier there, and it was real to me and that kind of thing. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say. I probably would have more if I knew more of the backstory and I could evaluate it within the larger franchise. But to me, it was just meh. But
Same
the,
exactly.
but the vibe I'm getting from you guys that even within the whole MCU, it's far from the best movie.
It's unfortunate because again, I'm a big Black Widow stan. I enjoy Scarlett Johansson. I've seen lots of her movies, even outside of the MCU.
Yeah, well, she's a fabulous actress. Yeah,
She is great. Like in more recent days, we had Fly Me to the Moon with her, and I'm not into rom coms, but because she was there in that movie, I was like, you know what? Let's give the movie a chance, and I liked it. Um, so I will ask Chillmonger, do you have any issues with but Black Widow outside of like the bad timing?
Oh, outside the bad timing, it still just wasn't an entertaining movie. There's a level I expect from Marvel content connectivity that they didn't have at all. The thing with William Hurt's character, the Thunderbolt Ross, was nothing. It was just like, this guy's got an appearance on his contract. He's gonna die soon. Let's put him on a movie. That's what that was. There was nothing there to add. I didn't think about the effects of Civil War. She was fine. She was hidden. She won. She was gonna be living in Europe, and then at the end of the movie, she had to go join Falcon and Sam on a Quinjet. But we didn't see Falcon, and we didn't see Captain America either. We didn't see them. It was such a low budget excuse to make a film because one of our stars happens to be a lady, and now Bob Chapek, or who was it? Not Bob Chapek. Ike Perlmutter is not in charge of us. We can do a female movie. Well, damn. You had to go and do it with a character who died. It was just stupid. Storytelling wise, it was directionless. It was filler material. Since that movie happened, I don't feel like there was a movie or something that happened in Black Widow I needed to know about. It was stupid.
I am 100% with you. And it's interesting because I did happen to see some of the later projects. I did see Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, Guardians 3, the Marvels. What else? Deadpool and Wolverine, obviously. But like, I've seen these 5, and we don't pick up to anything that happened with Black Widow. I don't know about anything in between because I didn't see what happened in between.
Just
But
Thunderbolts. The only thing that's coming is Thunderbolts, where you're going to see Red Guardian appear again.
and it's what, like 4 years after the other project, and
See,
it's kind of funny because I feel like Thunderbolt looks so much better than Black Widow did. So why would people be interested to watch Thunderbolt for Yelena if Yelena wasn't even that great in Black Widow? Or I should say, if we got a character that's from a bad movie, why should we care? I think that's more like on the line of,
because the contract was a signed contract before the movie got its reception, and they got her for a long-term deal.
yeah. And it's
Mm.
unfortunate because I feel like that new Black Widow replacement will be wasted, just like the previous one. So okay, um, so oh yeah,
These are Iman Vellani's ratings. She gave
oh
Black
my,
Widow 5 stars.
oh my,
Yup, it's a 5-star film. Spider-Man: No Way Home, she gave it 4 stars.
okay. No Way Home. So that's the great one that will be covered next when we talk about Spider-Man again.
I misspoke. Far
Okay.
From Home.
Oh, Far From Home. Okay. Um, that's a weird one. I guess she really like her co-stars when they are females. I don't know.
She's gonna work on her with some young Avengers, so she got to make Florence Pugh feel good. You got a 5-star movie, girl. We got you.
Okay. I'm kind of baffled by it. Um,
Well, what could she have liked though? What would Iman Vellani really dig in this Black Widow movie? Is it the time Black Widow falls and hits a couple of things and then lands and she's not broken and bleeding? Is that what was it?
that's hilarious because like guys did talk a lot about very interesting points about that movie, and I didn't start to tear it apart. I guess now that's the time I will tear it apart. Because that movie, I really wanted to like it, but I didn't. I hated this shit. First issue, plot armor on Natasha during the bridge scene. A rocket blows up her car. Her vehicle flips many times, yet she barely gets hurt. I don't even remember if there's blood there, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was no blood. um, anyone can enlighten me or put
I
some
don't
light.
remember. I don't remember, but I know often in scenes like that they have what I call just like superficial blood. Like they have a little bit of blood on their forehead or something. They wipe away, and there's
They're
not even a
fine.
cut or anything.
No concussion.
Yeah,
They're fine. Everything's fine.
yeah,
She has the serum, you know. Um,
yeah. But again, these like this is not just limited to superheroes or sci-fi. The action movies do not obey the laws of physics in a lot of instances. People survive things that they would not survive in real life.
yeah. Number two, the sisters felt inconsistent or stupid as one scene they are threatening each other and try to delete each other. The next scene they have a talk like best friends. That was kind of weird. Am I crazy to feel like the tone was a bit off with them trying to rip each other off and then like making peace just like that? Am I crazy?
Crazy.
Okay, I'm crazy. Any thoughts, Super Bowl?
Yeah,
Am
to
I
me that
crazy?
was a bit off too. Like it would have made sense if like Florence Pugh's character was still under the mind control or whatever, but at that point she had been
Free.
released from freed
Yeah.
from that. So I honestly didn't get why they were trying to they were trying to beat the crap out of each other.
We need the
And
next
it was kind
scene.
of jarring that all of a sudden they're like, oh, it's I'm tired of this. Let's take a break.
We're
Let's
talking
talk.
about superhero tropes. When two heroes meet, they fight.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. I'll
And
take your word
I
for
feel
that.
like in the comics, usually it's done better than whatever we got in this movie. I don't know. I've seen a few superhero on superhero fights in the comics with Fantastic Four and X-Men. That was kind of interesting. But I feel like
Yeah,
sometimes,
that's Chillmonger brought up a good point. That's true. I didn't think about that. That's kind of common. And I mean, didn't they make a whole movie about Batman versus Superman?
yeah. Um, that's a new tangent. Number three, telling instead of showing, Nat's defection to Shield with Hawkeye. I feel like they mentioned it. I forgot the exact name of the city they were in, but that was something that was very important to their friendship and what they became. They only name
Budapest.
drop it.
Budapest.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, that's unfortunate. I hated the fact that they tease us again with this, but they don't show what happened there. It just happened. Like they didn't add the money for our guy. Like you wasted your money in explosion and flashy stuff, but you could not afford an appearance of our guy. Are you kidding me? Really? Are you kidding me?
Where
Really
did the money
interesting.
go for this movie? Just is there only Scarlett Johansson when this huge budget? Where else did the money could have gone?
The flashy stuff. That's the only thing I think. Like everything blows up like all the time. So I guess that's
The fighting didn't have any special effect with Thanos. It didn't have any CGI. It was just someone in a suit who could archery, who could do like kicking and fighting. All you had to do was put a new actor who's a specialist in this fighting discipline and go action. You didn't really need to have a huge budget like Iron Man. Nobody flew. They were dropping from the sky. So did they have to rent one of those NASA simulated air? Where did the budget go for
they
this?
CGI'd it.
They could have.
They didn't rent it. They CGI'd it. Save
Yeah.
some money. My next issue, number 4. Plot armor on Natasha falling from several floors and crashing into many things, yet she could still walk away like nothing happened. That's a trope of action flicks, but that bothered me and that took me out of that movie. Number 5, more ridiculous plot armor on the sister. So they got a massive car crash with many flips, yet they can still run like there's nothing. Number 6, the posing joke tried to be funny, yet it wasn't. Any thoughts on that? The pause thing. Am I crazy? Am I crazy to think it was terrible humor or attempt at humor? I should say.
The witch joke?
Where they were like, "Oh, that's my superhero pause" or some shit like that.
Oh yeah, that's. I don't. Personally, I don't like it when movies are that meta. Self-referential. I mean, sometimes it can be funny. It's sort of like wink, wink to the audience. Sometimes that can work, but yeah, in this case, they kind of beat people over the head with it.
Deadpool breaks the fourth wall all the time, and I feel like most of the time it does work. Here, it
Yeah,
just
I
didn't.
haven't seen any of Deadpool movies yet. I've heard really good things. I really don't want to see them, and that's one thing people told me. They break the fourth wall, but in a good way. I
All the time.
personally don't. I personally don't mind breaking the fourth wall, especially in movies that don't take themselves too seriously. But as long as it's well done.
And She-Hulk also tried poorly to break the fourth wall all the time, and the humor on that show was so insulting to humor. It's like, yo,
Yeah,
I
I've heard that it was very bad. I don't.
it's
It's
one
not.
of the worst
I
thing I've
don't
seen.
think I'm even gonna bother watching it.
And I've seen a lot of things, and I can attest this is one of the worst thing I've seen. And the same goes for Wakanda Forever. Recast T'Challa. I'm with you, chill. I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you. To get back on track. Um, my next issue with this terrible movie, number 7, feels stupid that Black Widow would waste time talking to the brainwashed daughter as everything blows up. Yeah, let's take a sip of tea or something. It's not like there's an emergency around. People are dying left and right. Let's just take our time. Let's chit chat. Makes sense. Make it make sense. Maybe I'm crazy. I nitpick too much. Am I?
You're not crazy every time you ask me. Dracov's daughter was under mind control. If you wanted to help her, put on your fighting face. Don't be, for the cameras, for the movie, because it's a dramatic. You got to say, oh, hold on. What happened to the soulless Black Widow we've seen for like 4-5 movies before this? You need to be on the job without having to sacrifice your performance for feelings.
It's made by woman for woman. Keep that in mind. Let's be tropey about feelings in woman. Um,
You think that was a woman's director decision, or you think that was just not a fan and someone saying we're not going to be consistent?
I think they think that would appeal to women. These feeling talks. I think that was the attempt there. Um, I I don't think anyone like I don't think anyone that has a male audience in mind would dare doing that kind of stuff. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. And it's funny how Sparkle is like not made for me. I'm over feelings. I feel you, Miss Sparkle. You're a special one. Um, Now my last issue: plot armor on Natasha. She did fell through floors, survived explosion, and freed fall into solid metals, and yet she doesn't die or pass out. She can still skydive and catch Yelena, that also survived an explosion she caused herself. Yeah, that entire thing, you said it as well. That was terrible. That was insulting to physics and all. Now, I'm overly negative. I think this movie is still shite, but there's a few things to kind of respect or enjoy. I think the action was entertaining when there was action,
Okay.
but was it great action? I don't think so. But still, I didn't sleep through your movie, so I guess that's a point for yeah movie. Um, is it the worst MCU? I don't think so. Wakanda Forever is so far. Um,
Kind of.
once we get there, I will just skip it and link the video where I talked about it with Cole because I don't want to put anyone to sleep with that movie. Chillmonger, did you see Wakanda Forever?
Next question.
He did it. Okay, okay. And it's a Black Panther fan there. For those who don't know Chillmonger, he is
Yeah, I'm the biggest fan, and I'm saying I don't even want to. Nope, we're not doing it. You know, I was looking at Iman Vellani and her letterbox. She gave Wakanda Forever 5 stars. So I don't
Are
know.
you kidding me?
She did. She did.
Based on what?
Based on she's a woman and her emotions. That's what it was.
I wanted to die after watching that movie. I swear.
Yeah.
I regret watching this movie. And the worst of that, I've seen worse movies after, but like for that time, that was a first time I went into negative with points, and I needed to find ways to give back points, not sound like a hater. Um, yeah, bad movie. So when you compare Black Widow to Wakanda Forever, as someone that has seen both, I can attest Black Panther Wakanda Forever is worst, but the bar is so low that it's low. It's so very low. Now, um, I read through my notes, and the only thing that keeps coming back that's a positive is the action. I swear. I try to defend this movie so much, but no, it's a bad movie, folks. I don't have a lot more to say. I will ask you, Super Bowl, do you want to add anything to this Black Widow discussion?
Yeah, one thing on my notes that I didn't mention is like the end. The ending was kind of derivative. You know, the big major base is crumbling while all around them while they're fighting. How many times have we seen that in sci-fi and action movies? And I'm thinking of Return of the Jedi, Rogue One, other movies where things like that have happened. And most of the plot I find, especially the action parts and all that's very derivative of other movies.
Yeah, you got it right, and you've seen lots of them. So I feel that. What about you, Chillmonger? Do you want to add more to that trash movie?
They did a job at building up Dreykov. He was a big villain. He was. He sounded evil and everything. Now it's time to kill him, okay? The big climax was she's gonna like sever the nerve to her head, and she had a line about it, and she said it. She broke her nose. Okay. You could do more than that. This is like, think of the other times and the other big fighting moments where like someone gets stabbed or something, like the way Killmonger died. We think about the way they got Iron Man, they got Obadiah Stane. Like, you gotta kill your villain, and he didn't have the hero kills the villain moment the way that I wanted to see a hero kill a villain after preparing him. They did a good job of making this guy hated. Dreykov's daughter was set in Avengers 2012, and so we were kind of waiting for this guy for 9 years, and he came through. Good acting by the guy, just no culmination, and I wanted that at least. Like, it's a story that's contained, as I've complained about, but at least in this contained story, show me Black Widow handled business, and that's why he's not seen or heard of in Infinity War, because she took the fight straight to him, killed him herself, and I think he died because he went in the turbine of the Red Room, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
That's how he died. Right. Could have died.
Greatest dead in cinema history, I swear.
Mm.
I want more deaths like that. We need more.
You could kill a supporting character that way. You don't kill the main villain that way. The main villain got to die because you outsmarted him. You were the first one to the gun, and he shot it right in time. And it was a big fight over it, and it was suspenseful. Like, that's what I want.
That's also what I want. Do you want to add anything else? So I will ask you, what would be your grade out of 10 for Black Widow?
I'm going to bump it up to 5, even though I was down on it all this time. It was still a good Black Widow. It was still good by Scarlett Johansson. I loved what she gave us. So for the character work, 5.
I feel you. What about you, Super Bald?
Pretty much the same opinion there. A 5, and yeah, it had things going for it. It wasn't like a completely terrible movie. I feel that they had a lot of good elements that just went to waste.
Yeah, I think that's commenting there,
Mhm.
and I'm very close to your grade. I will give Black Widow a 4.5 out of 10. For me, that's bad. I I try to remember other MCU movies that were that low. I think about Incredible Hulk in 2008, and that one was terrible. Um, it's in that realm. It's not Guardian Volume 2 bad. It's not what else is kind of really bad? Thor the Dark World, that was terrible. I don't know what they were thinking. Uh, but I'm worried because I only heard bad stuff about Eternals, and it will be something I will cover in the future. So I think that closes off that great discussion about Black Widow. So I will ask Super Bold, what do you have going on your end of the internet?
Oh, not much. Just this podcast, as per usual. But since the our last episode in 2024, there's been quite a lot of things that have happened in my life, mostly positive. But it does mean that I will have more time to watch movies. So, yeah. So, as I said, I want to start go back from the beginning with the MCU and slog through that. But I will also have time and the funds to be able to go to the movies. So I might be able to join you on some of your other reviews.
Amazing. I cannot wait to have you on. Since you brought this up, this week we got a new movie coming out, Den of Thieves. Friday, Den of Thieves. That's the sequel. That's Pantera. That one sounds very good, but that's what we'll be covering Monday. And the other thing is, I think the first one was very self-condensed. So I don't think someone that sees the second one will need to see the first one, but maybe I'm wrong. I usually I'm right in that kind of stuff.
You know why I know you're right? Because I didn't see the first one either. And when I read what was going on, I knew, oh, it's just about a bank robbery. You know, I can watch the second one with Gerard Butler, O'Shea, and 50 Cent and still enjoy the second one as a person who didn't see the first one.
Yeah. So you did see the first one, right?
Did not.
No.
I did not see the
Okay.
first one, and that's why I feel like I was comfortable going into the second one. If I choose to go to the movies to see it, I'll be fine.
Okay. And I've seen the first one for that stream in question. So if you happen to go see it on Friday or Saturday, let me know, Chillmonger. I will send you the link Monday. So that's usually the same time as right now.
Yeah.
And we will focus a lot more on the sequel since you haven't seen the first one. So a good movie. The first one was great. Outside of that, I I've been not that active because bad cold, but we shall be back with more content in the future. And I will ask you, Chillmonger, what do you have going on your end of the internet?
Remember when me and you did the video about the wedding for Black Panther and Storm?
Yeah,
So I'm gonna do another one of those with Static Shock. I'm gonna do another one of those like
hell
when these
yeah,
two characters met each other. It's not a wedding, but you know what I mean. It'll be the same
yeah.
style. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, go to my channel and just type "wedding" in the search of it, and you'll see the video that we're talking about where we collabed with so many creators, like 10 creators.
Amazing video. And if you need cameos, let me know. Most of the time, I'm available around the time right now. On the weekend, I have more time, but
Yeah.
I think you have other stuff on the weekend. But
I
weekdays,
might ask you on a weekend. I'll get you on this collab. There's no time limit,
amazing.
right? There's no release schedule. I'll release it when I'm ready, but I'll get you on.
I'm excited about it. I like doing the first one.
Okay.
That was great, and I think that's it for now. And next week, hopefully we get Gray back because he shows both movies for next week, which is the Barbarian 2022. That was quite a good movie, and the Northman. I don't know if you have seen the Northman, Chillmonger. If you like middle age stuff with swords and Vikings, that's a good movie.
I don't like those things. I watched
Okay.
Game of Thrones and House of Dragon, but I don't like those things.
Okay. And with this, we are out very soon with this outro, and see you next time, everyone. Thank you, guys. That was a great night.
Yo, now it's the RedBlue Podcast crew. Reviewing flicks, both old and new. Red and blue, not political. Nah, man, chill. Yeah, RedBlue Podcast. Come check the scene. Movies old and new. Know what I mean?